Kenna, or Kina? Kana. I've heard all three pronunciations in this game from all the different voice actors, so who knows? I'll probably just end up saying Kenna. It's probably more like Kenna, oh, okay, whatever. It's Kena Bridge of Spirits, and this is a really cool game. It came out on PC exclusively for the Epic Games Store. I imagine it'll be on Steam in the future, but who knows? And it's also on the PS5. I imagine it'd be on the Xbox, might be on the older systems. But it's pretty much a game that you could probably describe as a Pixar Pikmin. And it's very noticeably a lower grade game, I want to say. That doesn't mean it's not great, but I just mean from the sometimes wonky animations, which are generally very, very good, and also the, you know, lower quality voice acting that you might get from a much higher budget game, for example. You can sometimes tell this game was made with AA in mind. But that being said, it's only $40, so it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the newer games coming out today, some of which are being charged $70 dang for. And it's a ton of fun. I think you could probably expect to get 4 to 6 hours out of this game. If you went really slow, you could probably get that up to 8. So it's a pretty good value for the price, I think, and it's got just a really cool world to explore and a really fun story to follow.
I sense suffering here, Spirit. Do you need help?
You know nothing of suffering. This is my home, my village. Turn back, Spirit Guide.
The combat and the controls in general of this game are probably the game's hardest aspect of it, and we're going to get to see the combat right now. So we can tell that, maybe not from the video, but when you're playing it does feel a little clunkier than some of the newer titles, or even some titles from a couple of years ago. So like I've said, just lots of things do remind you that this is sort of a AA-ish game, you know. But it's still a lot of fun, and the combat is something that is going to make me suffer a little bit. So of course, since this is a walkthrough, I'm going to be cutting out all of my deaths, but I'm still going to be doing some sloppy moves here and there, and trying to do my best to explain how to defeat some of the fights. The first fight is nothing more than a tutorial, so you swing your weapon, and that's about it. The combat will get more complicated than that by a little bit, but it's pretty much the same thing. You just hit the enemy until they die. And then once it's over, we can come over here to this side, and we're going to activate kind of this wall of crystals with Kenna's spirit energy. I need to remember what these things are called, but man, I'm doing so many games right now, it's hard to keep up with the names of all the power-ups that all these characters have. So anyway, her spirit energy can turn on these walls on either end of this room, and that's going to activate that button, which we've already used earlier in this video, so we've seen it before, but that's pretty typical for this game. You're going to find this button that you need to stand on, and then activate the spirit energy, which will usually have a chain reaction of crystals, and that'll open up a door for you. And that's how we can open up that giant door after this little cutscene, or this little, not cutscene, the combat area. That's what I meant. And sometimes we're going to have to move crystals around, or we're going to have different abilities for that, which we'll see as the game goes on.
I saw him here somewhere. Where did he go?
Hi there. Hi.
Oh, it's alright. What happened here, little guy?
So I'm going to mention briefly that there is no known way that I can discover, as of uploading this video anyway, to disable those achievement notifications that will sometimes pop up during a cutscene or at other points in the game. I'm playing this game on PC on the Epic Games Launcher, and I can currently find no way to actually turn off the notification for the achievement itself. I don't even really know why Epic Games Store has achievements for games. I mean, it's one thing to want gamer score or trophy counts or all that, but on PC you don't really get any of that, so I don't really know why they bother. And you can turn off pretty much every other notification, but I can't actually turn off the social overlay for Epic Games. If you play a game from the launcher, the social overlay is there whether you want it to be or not, and I think the achievements are part of that overlay. So because I can't turn off any of that stuff, the achievements show up anyway, so sorry about that. Anyway, back to Kena here. We get to collect what is pretty much our army of Pikmin, but they call them rot inside of this game, and if you kind of take your time to explore the different edges of the levels that we'll be in, then you may notice these little droplets, and you can use those droplets to wake up some of the rot, and they will follow you around. And I think it's kind of interesting that there's these like little fuzzy black creatures and they help you out, but they're called rot. I mean, in other games rot would be the bad thing, but in this one they help you out, so that's kind of interesting. And there's going to be lots of rot that we're going to find very quickly because we don't have any. The game has to give us some. We can interact with the rot, and I think this is the only time I actually do this. So we can kind of have a little Nintendogs play fun with them if we want to. We can push the different buttons that'll show up in the bottom right. We can squeeze them, or was that sneeze? I think it said sneeze. And then we can play with them, and then I think we can even kiss them, so we can have kind of a fun little bright and happy mini game with our little black Pikmin friends. And it's kind of an interesting change from a lot of the games I've been playing recently that try to be really hard and edgy, you know, and then I'm playing Kena, which is super bright and happy, and there's a little bit of darkness, obviously, that's the bad guy, but beyond that, it's a super happy game, and like I said, Pixar Pikmin, I mean, what more could you want? Has super good animations. The controls are sometimes a pain in the neck, but I'm mostly going to blame that on the fact that I'm playing on a keyboard and mouse. It does not feel like this game was made for keyboard and mouse. And I think if you're going to play this on PC, you'll be much better off plugging in a controller. At first, the controls are fine, but there's a few things later in the game that are just really frustrating on a mouse, and I probably should have plugged in a controller earlier, but I don't think I ever did, so... Anyway, there's a lot of collectibles we can find. That chest had a rot inside of it, and most of them won't. So I think that's just because they want us to get to level 1 rot pretty quickly. And you could skip a lot of these, I think, but that's just kind of detrimental to you. So like your character level is going to be tied to how many rot that you have, and I think there's only 3 levels, might be wrong on that. But you'll probably only get to about 3 by the end of the game or so. And then those levels are going to give you different power-ups that you can buy, and those power-ups are going to be way helpful, you know, makes sense. It's kind of like your, I'm not going to say average, it's your above-average action game that you might find at some kind of bargain bin at a GameStop one day, at least back in the old days. I don't think GameStop's gonna be around much longer, but people have been saying that for like 15 years now, so who knows? Their stock, for some reason, is still skyrocketing. And I'm not trying to like bash this game. I'm just saying it's nice to play a game that just wants to be a video game again. So many games try so hard to be like more than that, and every now and then playing one that has combat and platforming and puzzle and, you know, item collection and just a cool story that has nothing to do with the real world, that is fun to play every now and then. And I'm very glad that this game came out, because I was looking for a game like that for quite a while. And as I think I mentioned before, it's only $40, so it's way cheaper than some of the games that cost more that are way worse. Alright, so let's focus more on the game itself then. That's kind of my synopsis review of it. Very good game, I like it a lot. I definitely recommend playing it. And as we saw like 30 seconds ago now, I popped that decay orb thing that, again, it has a real name, but I'm having a hard time keeping track of all the power-ups and enemies and ability names in all these different games I'm playing right now, so I'm just gonna make up names for stuff as I go along, as usual. And when we blow those up, it's going to remove all the decay around the forest and make everything all green and happy again. And that's kind of what we're going to do the whole game. We're going to figure out where all that decay is and try to blow it up and just cure the forest. We have to figure out why, I think the mountain, like the giant mountain shrine, we have to figure out why that is causing all of the problems in our nice little forest right now. There's even some Assassin's Creed climbing. As we saw there, we get to jump up on ledges and go up and down on the different handholds and all that fun stuff. And here we're getting more tutorials how enemies frighten the rot, and those little drops that are going to fall down on the ground are going to power up our rot, which we can see the progress of in the bottom left. So that little circle that's filling up, that means we'll have like a full rot power once it's filled in, and then we'll be able to blow up this evil corruption plant. The difficulty I'm playing this game on is the hardest, and I don't know if that makes a difference in the amount of damage that I take and the amount of damage that I do, but one thing the difficulty says it does is you only get your rot regenerated while you're hitting enemies or when you pick up those rot orbs. And on the other difficulties, your rot will just regenerate naturally. So if the worst came to it, you could just run around in circles on an easier difficulty and get your rot power up, because they're way more useful than just blowing up these traps or these plants. But we're not quite there yet. So I think that might just be a big thing on the harder difficulty, is that you pretty much have to be constantly attacking enemies to get your powers back. And that's fine. Once you actually send the rot to the plant, don't forget to use your magical pulse to actually blow it up. That's something that I might forget a few times. And I also want to just kind of put a warning that you might see me struggling with the controls here and there, and that's because, again, I'm just playing a lot of games right now, and I'm just trying, every time I play this game, I usually play it in short bursts. I'm always having to like relearn all the controls, so I figure it out eventually. I get there, and I don't struggle too much, but it might come up every now and then. And for a lot of the jumps, like, we can double jump pretty early in the game. For a lot of those wall jumps, you really have to like jump higher than the ledge to grab onto it, so don't be surprised if you fall down. So here we're going to see how these Pikmin actually work as Pikmin. There's a little block we have to move, and we need to pick it up and move it into the spot that lets us jump up onto this little block here. So if we hold the shift key, it'll be a different key on the controller, of course, but so whatever the equivalent to shift is on a controller, I would suspect would be one of the triggers, but might be wrong. Then we can move or release the object. We want to move the object right below this little ledge. And I think there will be a short transition here. And then we're going to jump up onto that block once it gets put in place. And then we can jump up onto the the structure that's to our right, but now right beneath our feet. And I think there's a collectible around here, so there's a cat. There's a whole bunch of these cat statues that if you are paying attention and exploring, you can lift these up. I'm not sure what you get if you lift all of them up or if you get anything, but it's not the first time you'll see that cat statue. It looks like that may have just given me some currency. In the top right, there's that little 30 number. That's the upgrade currency. I don't know exactly what it's called, but That's what you'll use to buy upgrades for your character. And over here there's a little barrel that if we push Q on, we need to open it, not destroy it. Then we get some general currency, which we can use to buy hats for our little rot friends.
Let me help you. I can heal these spirits and restore balance to the forest.
I know you are kind. You sense the power that flows through this land, but you do not fully understand it.
This land can be healed, but you cannot stay here, Spirit. You must move on.
You are the one who does not belong. I will never abandon my people.
Boss fight. Sprout, the first boss of the game, and this is the kind of game that is absolutely going to make bosses normal enemies. So we're gonna see this guy more than once, but he won't be a boss the next time we see him. And the first boss is pretty easy, it's mostly just a wail away until he dies. I think we might learn about parrying. Yes, we are right there. Activate your shield at the right moment to parry attacks. I am horrible at parrying. I hate parrying, so you'll very rarely see me doing that. I know it's the efficient way and it's probably the smart way to actually beat these guys, but there's other ways we can do that, and that's by dodging and just wailing away until they die.
You can come out. It's safe now.
Look, Saya, she cleared away the poison. The little guys can eat it. They love it.
My name's Kana. What are you two doing out here, alone in the forest?
Don't worry about us. We've been here a long time and take care of ourselves.
I can see that. You both look very strong. Do you know who that spirit was with the horned mask?
We don't know, but when he shows up, the gross poison grows stronger. Hey, what are you doing here in the forest?
I'm searching for the sacred mountain shrine. Can you take me there?
If you want to get to the mountain shrine, you have to help us with something first. Our brother Taro was trapped deep in the forest. We need you to help him. Great idea, Saya. That'll be easy for her. Did you see what she did to that stick guy? Help us free Taro and we'll take you to the mountain shrine. Woohoo! Come on, our village is this way.